Hi, I'm Tim Hughes. I'm the co-founder of the Digital Leadership Associates. I'm also the author of the book Social Selling: Techniques to Influence Buyers and Changemakers. With me today, I've got a person all the way from the Netherlands. I've got Carola. I'm just inviting her to join. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Yes, just about, yes.
Okay, I will speak up.
Okay, fantastic. Great to have you here today.
Thank you very much for the invitation, Tim. Thank you very much, and hello, everyone.
You're welcome. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Carola van der Linden. I work for a large IT company, a global company. I work in the marketing department.
Yes.
European marketing team, and I'm responsible for a sales team. So I create and develop and execute lead generating programs for that sales team. And I've also rolled out a social selling program about 2 years ago. And I look forward to my experience with you and with the audience on this call.
Okay, fabulous. So what's your definition of social selling?
To be very, very brief, social selling is enabling oneself by using social media platforms in order to engage and communicate and connect with an audience, which for us is our customers, our named account customers or prospects.
And do you think do you see that the buying process has changed at all? Are we using social just because it's there, or are we using social because the buying process has changed?
Yeah, so we started about 2 years ago with social selling and investigating what that could mean for our sales team.
Yeah.
And it was primarily based on the fact that we could see that the customer journey has really dramatically changed.
Right.
In the sense that our customers and our partners were not necessarily calling and we had less engagement, and we could also see that our call stats were going down.
Right.
So as you're reading a lot of material and reading yourself talking about social selling and other people, we conclude since the buyer journey has changed dramatically, we had to do something on the sales side in order to still aid our customers. And there is where social selling comes in. We could see that 65%, sometimes 70 or even higher percentage of people do not necessarily contact the sales rep anymore to decide on a vendor, but do that themselves by independently going online and searching for. So we talk about the customer being digitally savvy, which means something like they go online and they independently read blogs, they make comments, they will download white papers, they will educate themselves independently from a salesperson. So if you miss then that first almost 3/4 buyer journey and you have no presence as a company and you have no presence as an individual, people tend to choose the competitor instead of yourself. So in addition to having our Facebook and LinkedIn and our Twitter pages from a company point of view, it's also important to have a presence. So that's why we encouraged our sales team to have an online presence, and we supported them in day. And that is basically the reason for doing the social selling program. So it's really aligned to the change in the customer buyer journey. Yeah.
So when you suggested to salespeople they have a personal brand, is that so that they're actually active in those markets where their customers are? Why would the salesperson want to have a personal brand?
Well, because I mentioned earlier, people always want to connect people.
Yes.
So you may have a company Facebook or a LinkedIn page, which may attract some order to come to you and download white papers. Still, the product that we sell within our company is a complex product.
Right.
So by the end, people still want to connect to someone to talk about their network design or any other kind of specifics. and they like to talk to a human being, right? They can download a lot from going online, but the connection between people is important. So we often talk about 70 to 80% happening online, and then we take the customer offline and
Right.
still use face-to-face discussions in order to bring the discussion forward for our solution and our brand, of course.
So what you're seeing is that there are people who are going on online and doing research, and then they want to have that discussion rather than coming in quite early on and getting the information from the salesperson from day one.
Yeah, we actually did see that the call stats were going down for my team. So as a result, people were confirming that we were saying the customer buyer journey has changed, and they could confirm this. Yeah, we're getting less calls. So my team is called virtual sales, which means they operate primarily from within the office and rely a lot on the mobile phone or the desk phone, and have less face-to-face discussions with the customer. So once those discussions and interactions with your customer go down, you have less opportunity to create leads, opportunities, and revenue, and that is what they are getting paid on. So therefore, talking through them about what social selling is all about and how it could potentially be beneficial to them, you explain to them, you take them on a journey, and you explain to them why social platforms are used more in the B2C space, but are now also being used in the B2B space. And that is where we operate in.
Right.
And once you talk about social selling, that it can help them have more connections, more engagements, more discussions, which ultimately leads to lead opportunity and revenue. You talk a little bit the sales lingo, right? Those are the terms that they use on a day-by-day basis. So, and that resonates very well with them. So you may have some challenges in the beginning, developing a social selling program, but once you explain to them the value add, they really get it.
Okay. So one of the things that's interesting, you mentioned about a social selling program. So what is it, if people want to actually say, okay, I understand that things are changing, the buyer's changing, what is it they need to do to actually set up a social selling program? What does that entail?
So the program for us includes engaging with a lot of other teams within the organization. So in my company, so to say, the initiative is taken from a marketing point of view to put a social selling program in place. So we work from bottoms up, but it's always useful to have also the buy-in from their leaders, the senior sales leaders. So you work both from bottoms up and from top down.
Okay, yeah.
Getting the buy-in from their managers is really important also for them to sponsor and to manage their teams, also to lead by example, right? To have a social presence and share information with their respective customers. In addition, other elements that include a social selling program include the sales enablement component. It's quite obvious that if you want to change someone's behavior, you will require some kind of training or education in order to through that process.
So when you say sales enablement, what do you mean? That's sorry if this sounds like something that's very obvious. That's enabling the salespeople through a set of training programs.
Yeah, so we have an existing sales enablement program in my company, and I think it makes sense to social selling into that instead of creating something in addition. So the sales enablement or the training program really help the team to understand what it means to have a social presence online. Many people come to us and say, so do I now need to be on each and every social media platform, from Instagram to Snapchat to Facebook to LinkedIn? I have no time to be on all those different platforms. So we tell them, you don't necessarily have all, you have to be on those platforms where your customer is searching.
Where your customer is, yeah.
So the learning for the team is then to understand that In B2B, it's primarily about LinkedIn and then LinkedIn Sales Navigator for salespeople and Twitter. We see that those are the primary social media platforms that they have to have some kind of presence.
Right.
Then you start with the basis, right? So I now need to create my profile on LinkedIn. What does that mean? So we go through a broad profile and we go through what is more appealing from an end user point of view or a customer point of view. And then when you look at their existing profile, it's often saying, you know, I have closed 5 multi-million-dollar deals in the past 6 months, which is maybe very nice to share with your peers, but not necessarily with me, your potential customers. I don't care about your sales achievements.
Yes.
I don't care about.
I only care about myself.
Exactly my point. So I care more. Me, customer, I care more about someone who is capable of helping me. If I represent a company, I have pain points and challenges, and trying to find someone or a company that can help me fix those. So therefore, the profile should include more components like helping, support, fixing. These kind of elements resonate better with the customer. So those are really the first elements that include the sales enablement program.
Okay, and what you set up was a programmatic approach to say, yes, these are the things that you need to go, and this is the process that you need to go through, and the behaviors and the skills that you needed. And that was a training program that you took the people through.
Correct.
Okay.
Every week we had a training, and the sales enablement sessions often included multiple different training components.
Right.
So we had
give us an example.
Okay, so on a weekly basis, we would have a fixed day. Every Thursday from 10 until 11 CET, there would be a 1 hour dedicated to how to become a social selling person or sales rep, or how to include social selling in your day-to-day sales activities. Then there would be online webinars available. Some people cannot make it. Some people are not comfortable hearing it only one more time. So we had a series of webinars online that people could review in their own time.
Right.
We would invite people like yourself or other people that bring an outside view on social selling to talk to our team. So it's not always the marketing department talking to sales, but it's also including other subject matter experts. Then there was a topic related around content.
Okay.
Once you start becoming socially active online, you may want to share relevant information with your customer. So you can create that engagement. Where does the content come from? A lot of content is often created by the marketing department. So my team will create customer case studies, white papers, maybe invitations to online webinars, and a lot of content as well. So we normally would post that in the content hub, but the question often then, do I need to post every day? What should I be posting? When should I be posting? Should I be doing this with all of my audience? Well, maybe not necessarily. If you've got customers that are in the early stage buyer cycle, they are still in stages like awareness. I'm not quite sure what I should be doing. Then you would potentially different types of content than someone who is a recurring customer and you want to.
And how did you explain that to the salespeople? Was that in the training sessions? Because, you know, I agree with you that different content is required at different stages during the pipeline. And you know, there's top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, and there's bottom of the funnel, and you can mix and match your content. But actually, how as a salesperson would I know what to post?
There isn't one particular customer and there isn't one particular sales rep. So we often took from the team where they had been working on a particular customer that had never purchased any products or solutions in the past. So they built another kind of engagement that someone who is a customer. So we let often those people talk about their best practices. The social selling also is very useful if you want to expand your reach within a company, right? We know that for us, it's been the IT buyer that are our primary contacts, but we now know that we need to engage with about 4 to sometimes 6 different contacts within an account in order to really touch all those different people that all is the buyer decision and the decision making process. So we had a rep talk about, I had only 2 acts within this particular account, but the LinkedIn and the LinkedIn Sales Navigator tool allowed me to profile a customer, which is very useful at the beginning of a fiscal year, right? When you have been getting a new list of nouns, and there may or there may not necessarily be a lot of historical data because we have never covered that customer past. Then going to LinkedIn will allow you to profile your customer by following, seeing which kind of contacts are available within this account. So those are the kind of best practices that people shared with the rest of the team. And I have to say that this kind of best practice sharing works really very well, because then they can see live examples of what social selling could potentially look like. And they start thinking about, oh yeah, this is something I could start doing myself as well. So this is maybe one of the examples.
Okay, I mean, I agree. I think that there's a place for training, but there's also, I've done training in the past where I just, turn up with a laptop and a webinar and say, okay, so what do you want to see? And then it kind of flows from there, and then you have a discussion. And I've done those, and they've actually lasted an hour, because if people are interested and they want to engage, it will be, I've done things from how do you send a tweet to what's a hashtag, and how can you make things, how can you move things around online by using different hashtags. Yeah, I can understand. And actually finding, I used to have a sales guy whose dog had 2,000 followers on Twitter. So he's very active from a social perspective. So we used to get Andy to say, right, can you do this? And then he would share with the people, and they go, how do you find all that information? Well, it's really easy. It's and then immediately they go, oh yeah, well, why am I not doing that? And we go like, yeah, why aren't you not doing that? And so, yeah, I mean, and I think it's really important to get those success stories and celebrate that success really early on, especially within sales guys of the team and their peers. That people that are there, and that are working with them will, working alongside them every day.
Correct, and I agree with you completely. That's the way that people will also relate to social selling in a way, because it's someone that is their colleague who is maybe operating also in commercial space, and they can relate to that kind of challenge. And we actually also did the basic training. So we go through what is a hashtag, how do you set up a Twitter account, how do you tweet, how do you do the direct messaging. So all those different more functional elements of the tools will also be explained. But as you mentioned a couple of times already before, you can provide a tool to someone, but that doesn't necessarily make them an expert in social selling, right? A fool
Yes,
is still a fool. And
it's still a fool. Jill, thank you for that quote, because it's a fantastic quote.
Yeah, and it's very, very true, right?
Yes.
So maybe in the beginning, you have to get people ramped up on social selling. So giving people the Sales Navigator training, making sure that they go through those early webinars and they understand the training and they get this so-called social selling certification, which brings some kind of sense of achievement for people. Then it actually only starts, right? Because then you start to practice the social selling on a day-by-day basis. And I think that element is also important to mention, that social selling should not be some kind of alien in the room, but it becomes really a part of your day job, right? You mentioned in some of the blogs that social selling is work, right? It doesn't come to by default, you have to
No.
put in some effort in order to get content out of the door, to connect with people, and to react on people that come to you. So if you do it well, you get inbound. You have to respond to the inbound in a timely fashion. All those different elements are important and something you can teach or learn someone in a 1 hour WebEx, right? It needs ongoing training
So,
and some people get it from day
yeah.
one and other people require a little bit of more of hand holding.
So that, I mean, that for me is really key, which is that I don't think you can learn social selling in a 30 minutes WebEx. You'd agree with that? Yeah. There's an ongoing thing. It's a bit like, I likened it to in a blog recently, which is you can take a gym membership, but that doesn't make you an elite athlete. You have to do lots of things. You have to change your diet. You have to get up early in the morning. You have to train. And if you don't look outside and go, oh, it's raining, I'm not going training today, you have to go training in the rain. And that's the change that we have to make in our lives, which is that it's not just a case of pressing a button. So you talked about them getting a certification, which is great because I really believe in that. But what about measures? What have you been doing to actually measure to say that that person's acting the right behaviors? Have you used Social Selling Index, the SSI, LinkedIn SSI Index? What have you been doing?
We definitely use the SSI score, right? It's
Right.
an indicator that people are active on LinkedIn and are downloading leads and following contacts. So they are having some kind of activity, which is good because if you when you measure the SSI score, when people come into the program very early on, it can be only 20 or 30, which is relatively low. We want to get people up to 60, 70
Okay.
at least.
Yeah.
But I would have to say that I would strongly caution people not to use the SSI score as an indicator that people are social selling experts because the SSI score will not be able to identify the quality of the engagement, the quality of your contacts. Your colleague Adrian mentioned also that you can be very proactive on LinkedIn and Sales Navigator and downloading stuff all the time, and your score can be somewhere 90 or 100. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you. It
Just means that you've been playing on social media all day. Yeah.
Correct, right? So it's important. For early on, the SSI score is fine, but then you have to go and look at other indicators and metrics in order, and then obviously for sales, that is the amount of leads that I generate from this kind of activity, the number of opportunities that end up in SFDC, and the amount of booking that I will see by the end of the month or the quarter. And then the research that we have done within my company identifies clearly that people that are high achievers, people that reach their target and overscore, are always people that are very, very socially active. And to
Right.
be very honest, that link is actually not that surprising because the social selling activity are happening for the reason of having more engagement with the customer. So the more I talk to people, the more I engage with my contacts, the more opportunities and discussions I have. So one for me quite clearly leads quite easily to another, right? More conversations lead to more discussions about my products and solutions. How can I help you? More leads, more opportunity, and ultimately more revenue. So for us, there's a clear link between the two.
Okay.
And over is always someone who is very, very socially active.
Yes.
Because he knows his named account list and his audience, basically. Yeah.
Okay, that's really interesting. And I mean, in terms of how long do you think it would take for someone, if they're going on a journey to be a social seller? Is this a 5-minute job? Is this, is it 6 months or is it 2 years? How long would you say the journey is?
I hope it's not going to take 2 years, to be very honest, but I know for a fact it is not 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It takes time, at least in the beginning, to understand all those different tools, and that's why we always say to our sales team, don't do anything in the first month. Just follow people,
Right.
create your lead list and your contact list.
Listen to what your customers are saying. Yeah.
Social listening is what we call that, right? See what they are posting, what are they commenting, what is their interest, what kind of questions are they asking. So you get some kind of idea of what's going on with this particular account and with the contacts that work within the account, and then take it forward. I have seen leads being generated in about a quarter, so 3 months time. Some of those people have already had engagement with that audience, right? A lot of the people that work in my team are the so-called millennials, right? They use this, they've probably been born with the mobile phone
In the hand, yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. So they're so used to doing a lot already over social media platforms. They get it very easily, and they have already had some engagement with those contacts most of the time. So it's not working from complete scratch. You may have that a bit more with people that tend to be a little bit more older, maybe, and they haven't been using social media platforms in the way that we do for social selling. But I would say within a quarter, you should be able, if you do it right, you will get inbound very quickly. And
Okay.
I would
Good.
say within a quarter, you should be expecting at least some from your activities to come.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic. That's been really insightful. Thank you. Our time's up. It's a good measure in terms of 20, 30 minutes. So tell everybody where they can get hold of you and your Twitter account and your LinkedIn and
I'm most active on both LinkedIn and on Twitter, and I'm very proud to say that if you Google my name, Carola van der Linden, then the first 5 hits are all about myself. So my Twitter account, my LinkedIn, and then my Facebook comes up at the first 3 hits, which is really cool. But anyway, it is at Carola164.
Okay, so to spell your name is Carola VANDERLINDEN.
That is correct, Tim.
Okay, thank you. Just so that if there's any English people, because I know the English people's Dutch isn't very good, whereas the Dutch people's English is always very excellent. So, but I just want to make sure that for the English people that are watching, that they get to spell your name properly, because I don't want them to put in Google and something else. So that's been really insightful. Thank you very much for the conversation today, and good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
To you.